What's going on, guys? My name is Spartan, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a guide on tournaments in the tower. So basically, I'm going to show you guys kind of where I am. I'm still pretty early in the stages of climbing the tournaments, but I'm just going to kind of tell you guys all the information that I've gathered through people that are much smarter than me, and also stuff that I've tried and found very helpful with tournaments. But first of all, tournaments are definitely beneficial. You get a lot of good stuff from tournaments, especially depending on what league that you are in. So like currently I'm in Champion League, and you can see that the amount of stones and gems that you get from these tournaments is absolutely crazy. I will say each different tier of the tournament ladder presents its own unique challenges, so it's really difficult to make a one-size-fits-all video on tournaments because each league has different things that make it hard. So this is currently what I'm dealing with right now. These tournament heat things, these suck. And they change based on the tier that you're the league that you're farming. Also, just periodically they will change. So you can see right now there's death ray resistance, which sucks. There's enemy speed, which also sucks. Boss ultimates, which that's not a huge deal, I guess, but it's not super great. More bosses, ranged ultimates. So yeah, keep that in mind. That's why I say it's very difficult to make a one-size-fits-all guide, but I'm going to do the best of my abilities to kind of hopefully give you guys some helpful information about tournaments. But yeah, so let's look at my history here. I have steadily climbed all the way from back in, way back when I was in Copper League, and just slowly worked my way up to now I can pretty confidently stay in Platinum, and I'm going to try very hard to try to stay in Champion. So yeah, I think the best place to start is I'm actually going to show you guys what labs I would recommend. First and foremost is your attack speed lab. Your attack speed lab is very, very, very helpful inside and outside of tournaments, just for the sake of in tournaments, the enemies go so freaking fast that it is very good to have higher attack speed, so that if you're doing more of a blender type strategy in your tournaments, you can apply more knockback and basically just keep those fast enemies away from your tower. I will say a lot of this depends on, number one, how developed your tower is, as well as what levels you currently have. So like as it currently stands, most of my defensive stuff is pretty good, pretty squared away. I have my orb speed almost maxed, my defense percentage at level 23, and my health, I think it's in my favorites still, but my health is very, very high. But one thing that you'll want to definitely work on is your defense percentage, trying to get that ideally up to level 23. That's what most people recommend. So we've covered attack speed and defense percentage. Health regen is also pretty helpful, especially if you are using the wall, because the wall regen actually takes from your health regen. It's a percentage of your health regen. So as high as you can get your health regen is beneficial. Also, just your normal health lab, trying to get this as high as you possibly can is very beneficial for tournaments. And if you have the Death Wave ultimate weapon, your Death Wave health percentage is going to be very, very helpful. But this does go hand in hand with your damage. So if your damage is very low, you're not going to really maximize your Death Wave health. So keep that in mind. But Death Wave health has definitely helped me a lot. Another lab that I've heard is very good for tournaments is your critical factor. This will obviously do more damage to enemies based on their critical hits, but it will also apply more lifesteal when enemies start actually hurting you. So under the damage tree, you're really going to be looking at your, obviously, damage lab, your critical factor, and your attack speed. That is going to be the stuff that will really benefit you in the attack tree. There's some other stuff that can be good too, like your super crit chance and your crit multiplier. But as you can see, I haven't even touched these yet because it's just way far off the list for me. Under the defense tree, you're obviously going to want your defense percent as high as you can get. And I probably wouldn't go past 23 because you'll start to kind of, the cooldown times are just so freaking high. You can see right now going from 23 to 24, it's 10 days. So definitely would recommend getting your defense percentage to level 23, but may not go much further past that unless you just have room for it. Another thing you can do is your shockwave size. This is pretty helpful. And as you upgrade this, you can actually set your shockwave size at whatever you want it to be. Some more advanced kind of things that would be helpful is if you want to do your enemy level skip labs, like you can do your enemy health level skip or your enemy attack level skip. That's pretty good. You can also do your recovery package amount, your max recovery, and your package chance, wherever that is. All of that will really help you. And honestly, with the labs, I'm going to say the same thing I've said multiple times on this channel. You should upgrade your labs based on the weaknesses of your tower. So if you are struggling with surviving long enough in tournaments, probably want to up your defensive labs. And likewise, you'll also want to do your attack labs. Like your attack speed is going to be huge. Honestly, attack speed is probably the top one. A lot of people use chain lightning, and they really like chain lightning. I don't have it, but there are labs available for chain lightning that a lot of people recommend. I don't even know if I have them unlocked or not. Yeah, so your shock, that is one thing that a lot of people say is really good. And there's another one, I think shock amplifier, which I don't have unlocked yet, I guess. So now let's talk about your workshop. So under the workshop, I am currently doing Orb Devo. It is a farming strategy. And I have a whole video going over it on my YouTube channel if you'd like to check it out. But I'm just going to tell you guys some of the stats that you'll really want to be sure to get higher levels in order to survive better. So obviously, without saying anything else, I mean, under the utility upgrades, you're going to want all of your econ stuff maxed. So in particular, your cash bonus and your cash per wave. For tournaments, this is going to give you more income and allow you to just get those upgrades quicker. Some other stuff that will be good for tournaments, and again, I don't have them leveled up, but it will be helpful for tournaments, is your free upgrades. So this will just allow you to obviously get free upgrades and hopefully give you that little nudge that you need to get you 1 or 2 ranks higher. Some other stuff that is very, very good is package chance, especially if you have Galaxy Compressor like I do. Definitely try to max that out. And also your enemy attack level skips. Your enemy level skips in general are just super, super helpful. But in particular, your enemy attack level skips. So you can see mine are currently at level 207. But it does get very expensive to upgrade. But this alone will be a huge game changer for you, both inside and outside of tournaments. Try to prioritize enemy attack level skips if you have them unlocked. Now let's go into the defense tree. So obviously the main stuff here is your survivability, especially if you're early on. So try to get your health as high as you humanly possibly can. Mine is currently at 5,000. Your health regen is also going to be pretty helpful. Mine is also at 5,000. Your defense percentage, you want to try to max that out at level 99 because defense percentage actually is a lot more helpful than defense absolute if you don't already know that. Another one you're going to want to max out is your lifesteal. This will heal you for 1% of the tower damage dealt to enemies, so that is super, super helpful. Really, most of this is going to be pretty helpful. Death Defy, sometimes you can get lucky with. Shockwave frequency, just keeping those enemies away from your tower. Knockback force, again, same premise, getting them away from your tower. And knockback chance. So now let's go into the attack upgrades. Again, the main thing you're going to want to do is max your attack speed first, your multi-shot second, your rapid fire probably third, and I have a module that gives me more damage on my bounce shots, so I like to get that maxed out. And obviously your damage and critical factor. That stuff is going to give you a huge leg up to the other people if you are able to get that stuff maxed out in runs. Now let's talk about the cards. So I'll actually go into my cards that I use almost every tournament. And again, sometimes this changes depending on what the heat effects are. So the main one, which is going to be very helpful for you, is cash. Cash. So cash is going to be really good for just getting all of those upgrades in that you need. And a lot of this other stuff is, again, pretty subjective. You may not have all of these cards, but if you were brand new starting out, I would say try to get health, try to get damage, try to get cash, try to get free upgrades if you can, try to get attack speed, and try to get defense. That honestly is probably going to be your core setup, and anything extra is just gravy, really. So like, I have Super Tower equipped, which just gives me some more damage every 15 seconds, or every 30 seconds rather. I have the Berserker card, which I kind of look at it as a better damage card. I don't know if there's more to it or not, but essentially at maxed, once I take enough damage, I basically get 8 times my damage. So I have that equipped with the damage card. Again, mainly for the lifesteal. The lifesteal is pretty helpful. Next is recovery package chance. This goes hand in hand with my G comp, which basically makes my ultimate weapon activations go off quicker. So I use that with farming and tournament runs. And these last two are pretty huge. So the first one is Plasma Cannon. This drops the boss's health by 50%, and that is awesome. That means if I have max thorns, it'll take 2 hits to kill the boss enemies. And Energy Net, also I have equipped. It basically is just crowd control for the bosses. So it stuns the bosses for, in this case, 2.8 seconds. And while that's happening, my Plasma Cannon basically damages the boss, and I'll switch my target priority to the boss as number 1. So my tower is just shooting the boss, everything's shooting the boss, and by the time it finally gets to my tower, it basically gets one shot, pretty much. Some other cards that are going to be really helpful for tournaments is your health regen. Usually during a run, once I'm kind of done and I'm getting to that point of like, oh crap, I'm going to die, I will sub my cash card for health regen, and that just gives me more survivability. But during the start of the run, this is pretty much the setup that I always have. Another thing that I will do once I start to get to that scary point of like, oh crap, I'm gonna die, is I will take out free upgrades and I will add Slow Aura. Slow Aura is really good, especially in tournaments, because the enemies just go so freaking fast. So obviously this card slows any enemies inside of the range of your tower. So this is a very good card to have. But again, I have free upgrades equipped until I basically am worried about surviving. And then I swap it out for Slow Aura. The Landmine Stun card can be really good. Sometimes I'll sub that in for like damage. Since I have Berserker, I'll just sub that in. You can also use Second Wind. It lets you die and then basically get revived, and you stay invincible for 15 seconds in my case. But yeah, that's about it for cards. Now let's go ahead and talk about modules. So for modules, this is going to be very kind of niche for what your tower has to offer, what ultimate weapons you have, etc. but I'll just kind of give you a few options that I personally use, and I think that they're pretty good. So first and foremost, I do use my Multiverse Nexus in my tournaments, and there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, it brings down the cooldowns of my Golden Tower and my Death Wave, which the Death Wave does a lot of damage, at least as far as I have it leveled up, so that's been very helpful for me. So that's why I use Multiverse Nexus. A lot of people recommend Dimension Core. That is pretty much the standard. Dimension Core is very good if you have Chain Lightning. I unfortunately do not, so I don't use Dimension Core. But if you have Chain Lightning and you have Dimension Core, probably should equip it. So next we'll talk about the armor modules. So you can see I have Wormhole Redirector equipped. Usually during tournaments, I will take Wormhole Redirector out and I will equip Anti-Cube Portal. So Anti-Cube Portal is pretty good. It basically makes enemies take times 15 damage for 7 seconds after they're hit by a shockwave. So again, I mentioned the shockwave frequency. I think that that's a really good module for tournaments. I'm trying to see if there's other ones that I have. Yeah, Space Displacer I haven't really messed around with. And there's one other, I believe. But yeah, so generally for tournaments, I will always use Anti-Cube Portal just because I found really good luck with it. So now let's talk about the generators. So I pretty much exclusively use my Galaxy Compressor for a few different reasons. First, I have the legendary package chance and enemy attack level skips. So that is honestly the main reason I use it. There's a few other ones that you can use, but I just haven't really experimented with. Pulsar Harvester, it, I guess, can be pretty good, but the chance is just so low. I mean, even at Ancestral, there's a 2.5% chance that you'll lower the enemy's health and attack level by 1. So that's a very low chance of actually doing it, and the effect of 1 level is really not that much. I believe it does stack, so that's good at least, but it's really, I mean, it doesn't compare to my Galaxy Compressor at the moment. And I'm not even really going to touch on Singularity Harness. It's just, I mean, it's good for farming, but probably not ideal for tournaments. And the last one is Black Hole Digester, I believe. And I'm pretty sure that that one is also mainly for farming, not as ideal for tournaments. And last but not least, let's talk about the cannons. The best cannon for tournaments is probably going to be not Astral Deliverance, but Death Penalty. At epic level, gives a 5% chance to mark an enemy for death when it spawns, and that will cause any damage to the enemy to destroy it. This is really, really good, and as you can see, once you get it up to Mythic or Ancestral, the percentage of chance that enemies just instantly die is going to be a lot higher. So this is probably going to be your best pick for tournaments. The reason I have been using Astral Deliverance is because I have really good effects on it. And Astral Deliverance is pretty good, I believe. I mean, with really high attack speed and lots of bounce shots going, it can be pretty effective. I don't know if it's better or worse than Death Penalty. I feel like it's worse, but because I have it Legendary Plus at the moment, and hopefully soon Mythic, I've just been using this because, again, the effects are just really good. And then the Being Annihilator, this one is honestly, in my opinion, kind of trash. And I don't even own the last one, and I'm not sure if it's good or bad, but I can't really speak on it. But these are the modules that I currently use for my setup. And last but not least, I'm basically just going to take you guys into a tournament with me, and I'm just going to show you guys the very first things that I do when I start a tournament. So the first thing I always do is make sure that I actually have my tournament setup equipped, which I do. Let's go ahead and try this. So the first thing that I do every single time I start a tournament is I instantly start upgrading all of my free upgrades. And this is because I want to get the ball rolling on free upgrades as soon as humanly possible. Another thing that you'll want to check is you'll want to make sure that you have all of your ultimate weapons on. I had smart missiles off, so now it's on. But yeah, this is going to be probably the first 100 waves, just maxing out all of my free upgrades. And if you are currently doing Blender, you probably won't have to worry about this because you already have all of those maxed, in which case I would just throw everything into enemy attack level skips. Luckily for me, my enemy attack level skips are already high enough where I already get some levels skipped just starting out because I have it at basically 14% from the get-go. Once I get my free upgrades where I want them, which is maxed, the next thing that I will do is go straight to my thorns and I will get that maxed. I will also then max my orbs, my shockwave size, all of the semi-cheaper stuff. And then I go to the attack workshop and I do the exact same thing. So I get my attack speed up, my multi-shot chance, my rapid fire, and my bounce shot. As the run starts to progress and I'm again kind of worried about dying, I will then drop everything else I'm doing and I will strictly upgrade my health regen. And I may swap back and forth when those two get too expensive and throw some upgrades into my damage. But yeah, that is going to wrap up today's guide on how to basically do tournaments in the tower. And I know that this is very kind of beginner focused, but I've noticed that there is not a lot of content about tournaments on YouTube. And that's why I wanted to make that poll that I did on my channel. And over 100 people voted. And 50% of those 100 people basically said that they wanted to see a tournament video. And there were some comments in there basically saying that not a lot of people make tournament videos. So that got me digging, and I was like, yeah, nobody's talking about tournaments. And I don't know why, because tournaments are one of the best ways that you can get stones in the game. They're very frequent, and if you can kind of figure them out and figure out how to climb properly, you can really make some good stone income. But anyway, definitely don't sleep on tournaments. Tournaments are very, very good. So make sure to do them every time that there is one available because, even if you're in silver or copper, you'll still get stones. And every amount of stones that you can get will really help you out in the long run. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. This is going to conclude today's video. And like always, I will see you guys later.